Gravity on Earth was stronger than on their planet, and it was quite uncomfortable initially for the two races, but eventually they adapted very well. In building their towns and factories, they were fortunate to import from Bakratini certain materials which were very light and, at the same time, very strong. I have not yet explained that, at that time, Australia was on the equator. Earth rotated on a different axis taking 30 hours and 12 minutes to complete a rotation and achieved a revolution around its sun in 280 such days. The equatorial climate was not as you will find it today. It was much more humid than now, for the Earth's atmosphere has changed. Herds of huge zebras roamed the country, in company with enormous edible birds, referred to as dodos, very large jaguars, and another bird measuring almost 4 meters in height, which you have called dinornis. In certain rivers, there were crocodiles up to 15 meters in length and snakes 25 to 30 meters long. They, at times, nourished themselves on the new arrivals. Most of the flora and fauna on Earth was totally different from that on Bakratini, both from a nutritional and ecological point of view. Numerous experimental farms were established in an endeavor to acclimatize plants such as sunflower, maize, wheat, sorghum, tapioca and others. These plants either didn't exist on Earth or else existed in such a primitive state that they couldn't be consumed. The goat and the kangaroo were both imported, for the immigrants were quite partial to these, consuming them in great numbers on their planet. They were particularly keen to raise kangaroos on Earth, experiencing enormous difficulties, however, in acclimatizing them. One of the main problems was food. On Bakratini, the kangaroo fed on a fine, hardy grass called arilu, which was totally unknown on Earth. Each time the Bakratinians tried to grow it, it died, attacked always by millions of microscopic fungi. So it happened that the kangaroo were hand-fed, so to speak, for several decades, as they gradually adapted to the grasses on Earth. The black race persevered in its endeavors and finally succeeded in growing the plant, but it had taken so long that the kangaroos no longer required more than their new pastures. Very much later, some arilu plants took root and, as there were no animals to eat them, they spread throughout Australia. They still exist under the botanical name Xanthoria and the popular name grass trees 1. On Earth, this grass grows much taller and thicker than it did on Bakratini, but that often happens when species are introduced from other planets. This plant is one of the rare vestiges of those distant times. 1. Grass trees. Original text was black boys. This term is currently avoided in Australia due to the racist connotation. Editor's comment.